Welcome to Pop Monster, a podcast to feed all your pop culture cravings. My name is Sarah, a self-confessed superfan. This show will cover everything from reality TV chaos, nostalgic deep dives, and the latest in music, TV, movies, and books. So let's get into it. And why don't we just start on a terrible note, because 2026 has been, at least for me, incredibly depressing. The world is a shit show, and it's starting to make Requiem for a Dream look like a fantastic vacation. So I can barely even string the words together to express how much I've desperately needed Series 13 of Love Island UK. This has to be the biggest event of the year for me since the release of Cream Egg Oreos, and hopefully I will not be as disappointed by this show as I was by those biscuits. Now, we have both Love Island UK and US airing at the same time again. It's like they don't want me to leave my house this summer, and I'm going to try and do my best to fit in some separate episodes about the US season, but I have to say that's TBD, because I'm only human and require at least 10 hours of sleep a night. This is what I mean when someone asks me, I hate when people ask this question, but when they ask how I'm doing and I say I'm so busy, and I'm acting like I'm a single mum with 2 jobs, but really I'm at home yelling at the TV to my new nemesis for the next 8 weeks, a 28-year-old business owner called Lorenzo. So I have to kick this off with a warning. If you haven't listened to my Married at First Sight Australia recaps, I have to confess I am not reasonable. I rarely support the men, and I care less about love and more about absolute carnage. Also, apologies in advance if you're a blonde man. But I would consider myself a Love Island scholar. Give me my PhD. I have seen every single episode of every UK, Aussie, or US season, whether that's regular, games, all-stars. This is my Olympics. I cannot, for the life of me, remember the names of any teachers I had in high school, but at least once a week, I reminisce on the Season 5 Casa Amor bombshell, Denon. So I am beyond ready to jump straight in and talk about all of the drama from part 1 of week 1 of Love Island UK. And just to be clear with my podcast release schedule, today I will be covering the first 3 episodes that came out Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Then next Monday I will cover the episodes that came out on Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. And I'm choosing to ignore unseen bits because I need at least one night a week where I'm not listening to Ain Sterling. Okay, so let's get things started with our launch episode, which I enjoyed with a cornucopia of snacks and a blue poppy, which I saw that they were drinking on the show. New sponsorships, baby. This show is just printing money. And sorry, sidebar, but my review is that the poppy was just fine and definitely not worth the stupid price I paid for it. Sorry, poppy. Anyway, the opening episode starts at nighttime, and I need to check, but is this the first time that's happened? Regardless, I'm overjoyed by this because there's nothing more uncomfortable than watching these poor villagers squinting in the midday sun while trying to get a glimpse of the people they're meant to be grafting on. The only thing that I find worse is seeing those poor girls shivering to death during a nighttime coupling ceremony. Let's at least try to make the first day enjoyable for them. And I was thinking that something I would love is if they display in the corner of the screen the local time and temperature, like it's I'm a Celebrity. Because sometimes, especially with these really long nighttime commitment ceremonies, they must go on for hours and it looks freezing. So Ain tells us that the villa has had a serious makeover, but at least to my eyes, it doesn't look drastically different from when we last saw it. Is that just me? Okay, so let me start with a rundown of all of the OG Islanders we are meeting on night 1. So first we have Mika, who is 21 and a student from Barbados who is living in London. She is a Gorgina girl, truly so beautiful, but anyone seems too young to be in the villa. In my opinion, I think that the lowest age limit should be 24, because their whole lives are about to be upended by being on the show. Maybe I'm just a haggard old bitch, but this villa is not a creche. We need to get some parents to come pick up their kids. Anyway, for some reason, she screams Netflix to me rather than Love Island. I think if you were to drop her into Too Hot to Handle or Perfect Match, she would definitely be the most in demand. She has Netflix dating show face. In her intro video, we learn that she usually gets ghosted, and this is baffling. What is happening on the streets? If this is how society is treating our hot people, what are us normals supposed to do? I really hope she is just trying to be relatable and humble. Because this is a travesty. I'm an old and haven't been dating in a decade, but back in the day, I don't think I got ghosted that often, and I'm a bridge troll compared to this lady. Next up is Aidan, who is 23 and a property broker from Kent. Oof. This is a tough one. I don't know how to say this, but it was really hate at first sight for me with him. I've already had to live through 2 seasons of Tasty Sammy, and I don't know if I can go through this again. The cheeky chappy guys are just never for me, but I'm going to try and keep an open mind. Visually, he looks as if Harry Kane had a baby with Rob Beckett and then they locked it in a basement. But hopefully, my intense love for Rob Beckett will help me to grow a soft spot for this guy. Okay, then we meet Angelista and Lorenzo. So Angelista is a 24-year-old nurse from Staffordshire, and I'm sorry to objectify her because she clearly has smarts, but goddamn, her body is unreal. She has the face of a doll and the ass of an angel. None of the men here are good enough for her, and I just know that she's going to get called high maintenance for having any self-respect and standards when it comes to dating. Also, sidebar, but I also have to completely agree with her saying that she doesn't want to take care of sick men, obviously outside of her job. Yeah, I could never be a caretaker unless it's some kind of situation like the film Misery. So Lorenzo is 28 and a business owner from Hertfordshire. And typically, I don't find many of the men attractive on these shows. Oh, apart from when I got a huge crush on, Ronnie Fint. And that is something I'm still actively trying to unpack with a therapist. But at least aesthetically, Lorenzo is pretty decent looking, and my biggest weakness is a big nose. So I was into him. However, any appeal immediately dissipated as soon as he opened his mouth. He's been single his whole life. Not a shocker. Doesn't like seeing people eat on a first date, and his type is supermodel. And I will get to this in a bit, but based on the way he's acting towards these women, I get the feeling that he thinks he's too good for any of them and is waiting for a supermodel to arrive. Good luck, fuckface. Next we meet Robin, a 21-year-old quantity surveyor and DJ from Liverpool. And this is no disrespect towards Robin's profession, but I have to ask, is it easy to be a DJ today? Because I'm being inundated by DJs throughout all of the trash reality TV shows I watch. And I have to assume that they're not actually spinning decks. That seems like a lot of work. So are they just clicking play on their laptop from a playlist that they put together? That's what I want to know. Regardless, I will say that I warmed to this girl instantly. I love her Scouse accent, but I do badly need subtitles for when she speaks, and that's a me problem. But this girl is so bubbly and incredibly upbeat, and all I have to say is I truly hope her spirit doesn't get crushed by the brutality of this show. Then we get to Samraj, a 25-year-old model from Birmingham who is living in Germany. This show is very international this year. I'm liking it. And Samraj, in my opinion, is by far the best looking guy on the show. And that Duolingo owl has nothing on him because he can speak 4 languages. But I was getting seriously pissed off by how everyone was acting like his name was impossible to say. Between Aidan asking if Samraj is 2 names and Mika calling him Sam J. Yeah, I really didn't appreciate that. In his intro video, he says he likes a bougie girl and wants a baddie. And this made me start to go off him until he said that his ick was someone littering. I couldn't be more with him, so bravo, flowers for you, my eco-friendly king. And they're all judging him a little bit because this girl who littered was someone he took on a first date to McDonald's. And, you know, the cost of living, it's getting close to £10 for a meal there now. I can't even justify the expense anymore. Anyway, next up we have Lola, a detective from Kent. And she must have been put on leave because there's no way in hell that she'll ever be working for the police again. Same thing with Angelista's nursing career. There's just no going back now. So everyone is so horny for her being a detective, and yeah, I couldn't disagree more. There is nothing less arousing to me than a police officer. Unless it's Inspector Gadget. I always found him quite hot. I liked his coat. Then we meet Opie, a West End performer from Lincolnshire, and this guy is legit and has starred in Moulin Rouge, The Lion King, and Hercules. His specific roles in them, unclear. I should have Googled it. But basically, He's in any of the musicals that are based on a film, and I predict that one day we will see him and Amber Davies together on stage. Although we do see this poor guy almost fall arse over tit. I will say he recovered well, but I was getting a bit nervous that his West End career was about to go up in flames. But I can really relate as someone who has fallen over multiple times from standing. Another fun fact about Opie is that he thinks he could beat a shark in a fight. Some great intel. And did anyone else notice that he's telling absolutely every girl that she has the best accent in the world? He needs to think of more chat-up lines. But to be fair to him, Opie and my Irish contender, Fitzy, are the only men I think have any charm or chat so far. And he does look a lot better in the filler than in his intro video, which shouldn't be surprising based on every year we know that they take awful photos of all of these gorgeous people. But in the intro videos, they made him and Ellie look quite mature for their ages. But they're expressive people, and unlike me, probably didn't have a mom who yelled at me every time I moved my forehead, so good for them. Okay, I already mentioned her. So Ellie is 24 and a videographer from West Lothian. She likes men with tattoos, and I think she could be trouble. I like her resting bitch face, and I don't know, I just get the feeling that if you were crying in a smoking area, she'd give you a hit off her vape. My initial prediction was that based on the boys we have, I thought that she would be the most in demand because she's really giving me Molly May, but with a touch of darkness. And based on first impressions, I really like her because she just looks at all of these men with a look of thinly veiled disgust. What can I say about our next villager, Sam? He's 25 and an electrician from Dudley. He likes blondes, he is blonde, and my expectations are low for his survival in this show. As we've seen time and time again throughout Love Island history, blonde men are basically lepers. Nobody wants them. I did initially think that he might do okay because he doesn't have super pale eyelashes and eyebrows, which tends to put these girls off. But based on his more introverted personality and how the girls are reacting to him, yeah, I wasn't feeling too optimistic. All right, our final two OGs are Jasmine and Sean. So Jasmine is 27 and a fashion business owner from Dubai. A little bit more international flavor. And to be honest, I don't know if Jasmine needs the show because she already has 100k followers on Instagram and a famous footballer ex. I will continue to be her number one fan as long as she continues to call out the boys. She says that she likes the heartbreaker. This woman is hot. And I can already tell that I want her bank balance, but I immediately worried once we got to see all of these men because they all seem a bit too weak to not be intimidated by her. Last up, we have Sean, aka Fitzy, who is 25. Yeah, I'll need to see that birth certificate, but he is a primary school teacher from Galway and yet another person who is never going back to their job. I feel it is my patriotic duty to always support my Irish representation. But Jesus, Sean, you're making it hard with that bleached hair. I will say that I love his big nose, and while I'm not the biggest fan of his hair, his face is okay. He really reminds me of Joseph Gilgun, who's in Misfits and Brassic. But I do think this guy has charisma, and I like that he said that he cries at every movie, because me too. I haven't even cried at adverts for butter. And it's nice to see a man in touch with his feelings, because my partner's a robot, and the only time he's ever cried during a film was when Home Tree died in Avatar. Sorry, that was a lot of people to get through, but that is everyone, and I will be desperately trying to remember their names for this first week, so bear with me. We kick things off with a dramatic entrance from Maya Jama, who is wearing a mesh white bikini top and cover-up. When is it a bikini top, and when is it just a straight-up bra? Because I'm pretty sure she's wearing lingerie. But of course she looks sensational, beautiful, not of this earth. 11 out of 10. Stunning woman. As an icebreaker, they are given a party game to help gauge everyone's thoughts. And honestly, I found this game a little bit boring. I think it'd be much more productive if they just let them play spin the bottle. Alright, I'm just going to run through this quickly and give an overview on everyone's first impressions. So Lola, Jasmine, and Angelista are attracted to Lorenzo. Mika likes Samraj. Sam likes Ellie. Sean likes Robin and Lola. And it seems like Lorenzo and Samraj will be competing for the same women as they're both interested in Mika, Jasmine, and Lola. This game is also a prime opportunity to start some shit. And I really hope that my queen Jasmine keeps her heel on these boys' necks. She says that she's seen red flags after 3 of the boys didn't drink when asked if any of the girls are their type. And I think that some of them, like Opie, didn't drink because they were feeling a little bit hurt that nobody picked them as their type. Which, I kind of get that, it's brutal. Yeah, I found this whole game to be pretty dry. There must be better ways to get to know each other. We also learned that Opie thinks Angelista is wifey material, and Lorenzo says Lola is. And honestly, I couldn't think of a worse term to be described as. In my house, that is borderline hate speech. I'd rather be called, most likely, to key your car material. I guess it's refreshing that they're saying that taking no shit is a wifey trait. Although I don't know if I'm buying that, because usually these guys consider a wifey to be the biggest doormat. Someone submissive who will put up with their shit. Despite this game, I actually did really enjoy this first episode, because I saw a lot of potential with these islanders. There are some good personalities in the villa. But this has got to be, hands down, the worst day one coupling ceremony I've ever seen. They're making them take initiative and use verbal communication and reasoning to pair up. Okay, I need the producers to stop being lazy, get off their arses, and actually produce. This is just... It's painfully awkward because there needs to be some kind of structure to this. They've only just met each other. Maybe production was hoping that this would create more fluidity, but this is just making the more introverted people retreat and hold back from expressing their interest. I just don't think it needs to be a group project. Ugh, this is my Vietnam and is bringing me right back to middle school PE class selection. This is hard to talk about, but the teachers lined up all of the boys and girls in two separate lines like we were going to be exterminated. Then the teachers walked down and handpicked out all of the girls and boys they deemed athletic who got to be in two groups, top set girls and boys. Then the rest of us were pulled together into a third mixed reject group where none of us could catch a ball and we had to ride a separate bus from the others. It's been 20 years and I still haven't recovered, so how dare you make me relive this trauma, Love Island. Anyway, Lorenzo and Samraj both seem to want Mika, but also shows some interest in Jasmine. And I love how direct Jasmine is. She really knows who she is, and she makes it clear that she likes Lorenzo, Samraj, and Opie, and straight up asks if none of them want her because they said to let Mika decide. Ugh, this is a disorganized mess, although it did make me hopeful that Sam was going to be a bit more of a messy little shit starter. He very clearly wanted Ellie, but she picked Aiden instead, and he even tried to stir things up by saying that Aiden didn't pick Ellie as his type in the drinking game. And I have a bone to pick with my Irish delegate Fitzy, because he was kind of being a tactless prick during this process. He thinks it would be a good idea to say that Lola is more wifey material than Robin, and completely disregards Angelista as a potential option. We see the same shit every single year, where there's a stunning black girl who gets dismissed and receives zero interest from the men. Things do seem to be better in Love Island USA, but it's horrible to see someone put in this position. The casting team needs to do a better job of finding villagers who are open to dating a diverse range of people. And I don't mean just asking them what their type is, because all of these fuckers lie and say that they don't have a type, when actually their type is blonde. Honestly, pay me ITV. I will dig into their dating history and who they're following on socials, because I'm fed up after 13 series of the same shit. I'm starting to think I should have recorded this episode after dinner, because I'm a little cranky, and I apologise for that. So let's move on to our first couples. We have Mika and Samraj, and I can actually see these two really working. This girl seems like a sweetheart, and I really love her braided ponytail. Together, I do find them quite dull to watch, but they do seem to mesh well, and Samraj is giving Zoolander himbo to me. He keeps acting like he's saying something really intellectual and deep, but it's just a lot of model word salad. Our second couple is Jasmine and Lorenzo, and not even 5 minutes into this relationship, they're already a mess. Every year, I need a nemesis. Usually it takes me at least a few episodes to find them, but Lorenzo showed his ass and came to me instantly. I do not trust this guy. There is just something really off about him. And I need Jasmine to jump ship pronto. In the course of this episode, he calls her promiscuous, a sassy bitch, and says that he prefers blondes and that Lola is more wholesome. Yeah, this is giving some Madonna whore complex bullshit, and I can already hear the noise of the Women's Aid typewriters being dusted off, ready to write a statement about this dickhead. I fear this will be a similar situation to Ben from last year, and yeah, can we just speed run through this and send Louis Theroux in as a bombshell to chat with him about the manosphere? Alright, next, our third couple is Ellie and Aiden, and you cannot convince me that she has an ounce of interest in this man. I think she was just less turned off by him than Sam. This Rob Beckett basement baby begs this woman until she gives him a peck on the lips. I didn't like this. She tried to say no, but he just kept pushing and pushing. And It was awkward. It put her in an uncomfortable position, and it couldn't be me because I'm stubborn as hell. If someone keeps telling me to do something, then there's 0% chance of that happening. My partner is even worse. He can't even handle those cups that say drink on them. Not even a mug can tell him what to do. Next, we have Angelista and Opie, a couple of convenience. She's honest and says that she picked him because he's the only one who can see the value in her. Yeah, this poor girl has been done dirty, and all I can say is electric chair for the producers putting her in this position. Our final two couples are Lola and Sean and Robin and Sam, and I'm expecting to see some swapping around between these pairs. We found out that Lola's ick is a backpack. Alright, I cannot relate because how else are you meant to bring all your snacks and water bottle with you on the go? My theory is that this is some sort of see it, say it, sorted police agenda. Anyway, during the time when the couples are trying to get to know each other, Robin steals Sean for a chat, leaving Lola and Sam alone in painfully awkward silence. Oh, that was my hell. It's not even been a day, but I know that the Robin and Sam couple is going nowhere. We learn that Sam is hard of hearing and has now been paired with the loudest woman in England. Poor Robin, she's given it her all. She has given him so much energy and compliments, and he gives her nothing in return. I'm thinking that maybe he's just very uncomfortable with the cameras, but my gut's telling me that he was all in on Ellie and isn't willing to try with anyone else. Sorry to take us off the rails, but did anyone else get the advert for the Now You See Me live tour? No expense was spared here. They even made the woman dye her hair red and everything. Oh, I love those stupid, incredible movies. They're up there in my dumb movie hall of fame. I watch them constantly alongside Jurassic World and the Fast and the Furious franchise. A long-time dream of mine is that the Four Horsemen were real, but honestly, this tour looks shit. Anyway, let's move on. So it's the next morning, and we get to see the formation of some potential love triangles. And nobody, God bless her, is working harder than Robin. She is a real go-getter, and I love an assertive woman, but I fear that it's wasted on all of these low-effort, low-energy men. I just worry she has too much personality for them, but regardless, nothing will hold her back from grabbing and pulling Fitzy. I guess she's realised that Sam is an anchor and is desperately trying to find someone new to attach to. Lorenzo is also putting out some feelers with Mika and Lola. Now, Lola. She thinks that Lorenzo is chill and genuine. Yeah, she's a terrible detective. This girl ain't detecting shit. And I guess it's a good thing that she's no doubt already lost her job. Alright, we closed the first episode with no tomorrow night. But we do get to meet the two new bombshells. And I'm actually really proud of myself for doing such a good job in telling everyone apart. But I've reached my limit with blonde men. Please make it stop. So our first bombshell is George, who is 20 and a professional footballer from Winchester. God help us all. He reminds me of one of my other nemeses, Zach Affleck from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. He is joined by my favourite brat doll, Yasmin, and it's going to get very confusing with a Jasmine and a Yasmin. So she is a 23-year-old blonde recruitment consultant from Kent. I hate to say this, but neither of them are giving first bombshell to me. I'm getting more of a incestuous cousins from House Targaryen vibe. Either way, Maya and the Love Island gods have granted them a lot of power. In 24 hours, one boy and one girl will be dumped, with the decision resting with these haunted twins. And with that, let's jump ahead to Tuesday's episode, with the bombshells officially entering the villa. Okay, I'm going to talk about Yasmin first. So she has been single for 7 months, and she describes her type as a funny, class clown gentleman. I can actually picture her working with Tommy from last year. They can make a nice little pint-sized pair, and we learn that based on first impressions, she is most attracted to Lorenzo, Opie, and Aiden. Now, this is probably a me problem, because she seems very sweet, but I'm finding her incredibly irritating. I think it's maybe nerves, but her frantic energy is setting me on edge. And, sometimes the things you don't like in yourself are what annoys you in others. And if I was put in this situation, I too would be rambling and all over the place. So I'll try to cut her some slack, but she gets straight to work and pulls Opie. And I can almost see these two working. They both have very strong Curtis Pritchard, High School Musical theatre kid energy. Although I must say they have some pretty shit chat. Her big test for him is on whether he likes orange or apple juice. He picks orange, which is apparently the wrong answer. I strongly disagree. I get hives from orange juice and I would still pick it over apple. Regardless, he dies laughing like Dave Chappelle has stepped into the villa to deliver him a comedy set. This is bleak. but still better than the conversation I had watched between Aiden and Yasmin. These two seem too similar for me. I wonder if they're from the same area in Kent. Unclear. But these two are cracking up, asking if they think each other are funny. I feel like I shouldn't be calling this a conversation. Oh, does this show make you reflect on your flirting style? Because watching this, I fear that I might just be rude to people. Maybe I'm the Lorenzo. But I would find it hard to bring myself to fake a laugh for this banter. So Aiden whispers that she's the sexiest girl here. This makes me violently ill. I also had noticed him trying to do a sexy little baby voice when he was begging Ellie for a kiss. Yeah, it's Nick, and this boy doesn't understand the concept of personal space. He is borderline humping Yasmin's leg during this chat. Alright, in response to seeing this, the blondes have unionized. Ellie and Robin have formed a duo and are discussing this potential love triangle. Unfortunately for those of us who want drama, Ellie seems to be pretty level-headed, and despite being bothered by Aiden talking to Yasmin, she is trying to hold back from being possessive and is waiting to just see how he handles the situation. I was struggling to understand Ellie's motives here. Perhaps I'm just cynical, but I find it hard to believe that she actually likes this guy, and it does seem like she has other options. I need her to be more active and have more chats with different boys. Later, she joins him on the terrace, and even though it makes me sick, I must admit that his sexy baby whisper is effective because they're instantly kissing. I feel like Ellie felt like she needed to seal the deal and mark her territory here. Oh, maybe she was thinking that Yasmin would have to steal a boy with his partner being immediately dumped, so that was her trying to shut it down? That does seem more plausible to me than her actually fancying Aiden. We need to move on to my new favourite demon, George, and I must confess that based on first impressions, I severely underestimated this man. I thought he was going to be an instantly dumped blonde boy casualty. I hate him and I love him. He is a wild card. He is a little menace. Such a shitster. I would describe him as a hybrid between Scottisha and Fecna from Stranger Things. Okay, so we learned that his type is blondes, but his success rate is low because they end up looking like a dated or related couple. Initially, he does say that he's most interested in Lola because he likes a quieter and more discreet girl, but we will later see him pivot to the loudest blonde girl there. Anyway, he pulls Lola for a chat and they have a nice time, but it is clear that she has zero interest in him, and I think that she and Fitzy are a lot more settled than they're letting on. We even see those two kissing in bed at the end of this episode. George asks her if she wants to rip Fitzy's clothes off, and I'm having PTSD flashbacks to Harry from season 12. Oh, I'm about to say something not very nice, and I do think Lola is a beautiful girl, very pretty, but everyone fancying her is reminding me of Heath Ledger asking if Bianca has beer-flavoured nipples in 10 Things I Hate About You. What am I missing here? Because it seems like she's somehow the most in-demand girl in the show. Maybe it's something that's just not transferring on screen, but she's getting the dull girl edit, and I'm thinking it's just the men getting competitive and wanting her just because another guy expressed interest in her. They all just want to be the winner and for all the other guys to be jealous that they got the prize. We also see George pull the 21-year-olds. He says that Robin spun his head with her aura, and honestly, as a ghostly white person, she has spun my head with her lack of a tan. That is something you do not see often on this show. It was refreshing. Despite what he said earlier, he's back to blonde, and this guy just says whatever he wants. In fact, he's quite proud of his lack of filter and gives me spoiled vibes. I feel like he's definitely mowed someone down in his car while high on coke, and his parents paid someone to get it covered up. He's my Kendall Roy. Then we see him with Mika, and I just don't like the way that he talks to the younger girls. It seems condescending when he's telling them that they have such amazing energy and so much going for them. Because I remember being 21 and going on dates with men in their 30s, and looking back on this now, they were creepy and constantly talking down to me just like this. Oh shit, wait a second. I am so stupid. I've just remembered that George is 20. No offense, sir, but I would add a decade to your age. I considered us peers. Okay, so apologies. He's not an older creep. He's just generally condescending. Okay, let's move on, and I do wonder how much of a hand production has on who the bombshells will be dumping from the island, because I fear that George, with power, will be dangerous, and they've both been told to keep the fact that they'll be making this decision on the down low. I got really worried for Opie when George was saying that he was already pissing him off by being such a tryhard. And I have to defend him. I feel like Opie is misunderstood. He's a performer, so he's just used to the life of a showgirl like Taylor Swift. I can't have him leaving. We need to have at least a few people in the villa with a distinct personality. Okay, on to happy news and my new favourite potential couple, Jasmine and Samraj, who I am instantly all in on because they're both ridiculously good looking. So they try their own attempt at flirting. She loves to pop a toe in someone's mouth, and he likes nails going down his back. Sure, may as well lay everything out on the table, and these two just make perfect sense together. I feel like they're the wealthy, well-groomed couple that you end up sitting next to at a fancy all-inclusive. They'd be so civilized and sipping wine while you're ordering 2 mains each, while I'm ordering 3 starters and being a pig person. God, they're hot. So next production have decided to finally wake up, and the villagers are tasked with playing the phone box game. It's basically the standard game of dares, but this time every islander has a phone with their name on it, which will then receive a text with a dare. And this new format works on many levels. One, it makes it easier for the producers to blatantly rig which dares everyone gets. And 2, helps them to drop in more product placement as part of their Google Pixel partnership. I'll just go through some of the highlights. Mika is asked who is here for clout and not love, and Opie is yet again targeted due to his big personality, with our resident Hitler youth George chipping in to add his 2 cents. I will say that Opie takes it very well, and I'm getting annoyed at how mature everyone has been so far. But when he goes to hug Mika, he almost again falls head over tit. We need to get him some sticky grips for the bottom of his shoe. ITV better have some insurance to cover any workplace casualties. But man, he is resilient. After already being told that he's just too much, he brushes that all aside to do a sexy striptease for Yasmin. And I need to do more research on what his role was for all of those musicals, because he's a great dancer, and this is definitely not his first striptease. And I love his friendship with Angelista. She has zero jealousy and nothing but respect for his performance. We also get a few kisses in this game, but there are several contestants who are left out of all of the action, namely my disrespected queen Angelista. But we do see Lola snog Lorenzo, Robin kisses George, and Sam makes out with both Yasmin and Ellie as his dream threesome. And again, I have to say there are a few things that just aren't adding up for me with Sam. And I do feel bad for him because I do think he's really struggling in the villa due to his shyness. But I do think he is faking having any interest in Robin. And I'm not buying what he's selling in regards to her being his number one. And I can see where he's coming from. He's just playing the game because his top choice Ellie rejected him. But him and Robin are not a match. She doesn't seem to be a big believer in opposites attract, and this guy's just too dry for her. I will say that during this game, Lorenzo is the most in-demand guy, but also has the roughest go of it. They make him choose an islander to suck the toe of, and if this was me, I would be protesting and already on my jet to flight home. He is also not a fan of the feat, but opts to suck Yasmin's toe because Jasmine is covered in glitter. He also has to engage in a dance battle with Fitzy, and I do love him as my Irish delegate, but I did not find him attractive until this moment. He would kill it at a wedding doing the worm. And, oh, God bless Lorenzo, he is horrendous, and I need him to stay so he's forced to do the heart rate challenge. Oh, I almost forgot the most diabolical dare when George has to snog 2 islanders back to back, then rate who's better. But of course, Messy Boots George isn't fazed by this, and out of Mika and Robin, he of course picks Robin because she already looks like she's part of his bloodline. Now, when watching the show, I know I can have some harsh opinions, and I did worry that I'd perhaps misjudge Lorenzo. Never fear, he doesn't disappoint and pulls Jasmine for the weirdest, most confusing conversation ever. Yeah, this guy just needs to stop speaking. Can anyone watching tell me if they understand him? Because I need the Rosetta Stone to figure him out. He tells her that he likes her, but doesn't want to put any pressure on her, and would like them to focus on having fun and spending time together, but he does want to see her shine more in a group setting. What kind of fuckhead feedback is this? I do appreciate that she stayed strong and made it clear that she is who she is and she's not going to change in response to his negging. I just can't understand this concern with group settings. It seems like he cares way too much about appearances and everyone else's opinion. Honestly, I do think a lot of the men have dismissed Jasmine because they are intimidated by her. And you can just tell that Lorenzo subscribes to some alpha bullshit, so needs all of his mates to be jealous and want the girl he's coupled with. We even see him later in a group setting ask Lola for feedback on his kiss. He's weird in groups. Regardless, I really hope that Jasmine is done with him and checked out after he didn't pick her for anything in the game. Finally, we close Tuesday's episode with Robin and George, a couple I am rooting for purely based on the sheer scenes that they could create. This could be the new Kem and Amber for the Gen Z audience. We are only on night 2 and he is already inviting her to share a bed in the hideaway with him. She feels like she needs to ask the girls for advice on this, but he says not to deep it or tell anyone. Yeah, I don't love that, but ultimately she turns him down, at least for now. And that takes us into Wednesday's episode with our first dumpings of Series 13. So we open this episode with our gender-divided morning debriefs. With the boys, Samraj is ready to give Mika a kiss, and Aiden is still interested in getting to know Yasmin more, despite how hot and heavy he was getting with Ellie last night. Over to the girls, and I am liking that they're seeming a lot less divided than the war zone that was last year. But we do see that there is a blonde clique forming with Ellie, Yasmin and Robin, and my favourite of those 3 is easily Ellie. The other 2 are much better in small doses. They're starting to grate on grandma. I also love Jasmine's look this morning with her little cap. She looks just like this Mycene Barbie doll I had in the early 2000s. She reiterates that the only guys she has any interest in are Samraj and Lorenzo, and it does seem like our most solid couple right now is Lola and Fitzy. Makes it clear that he's her number 1 and that they enjoyed many butterfly kisses in bed. And when she pulls him up to the terrace later to make out, he says that she's the only one he's interested in. Honestly, the women are putting in all of the work and pulling the boys for chats this season. These guys are doing nothing. Then with Angelista, it's sounding like her and Opie have formed a beautiful friendship with bedtime gossip sessions. Honestly, that sounds like my dream. He's thinking that she's just a slow burner, but in the Love Island universe, that means that they're just not that into you. Okay, let's get into the Aiden, Ellie, Yasmin love triangle. So an awkward element to this is that Yasmin and Ellie have become instant BFFs. And I don't know if it's just me, but there's something a bit snaky that I don't trust about Yaz. She keeps saying that Ellie and Aiden are doing great and how she's such a girl's girl. And I just get a single white female vibe from her. I don't know if she wants Aiden or if she just wants to be Ellie and get the guy over her. So when Aiden has a sit down and invades Yasmin's personal space, he does tell her that he's vibing the most with Ellie, and Yasmin asks if she's going to get him in trouble. She really seems to get off on the thought of an illicit affair and getting him to flirt behind Ellie's back. It's very cringe, and these 2 are not doing good things for the tourist board of Kent. And this guy's such a flip-flopper. When he talks to Yasmin again later, he does a complete 180, and now she's the one he wants, and his gut is pulling him towards her. Ugh, give me strength. He is slimy and needs to be a lot more upfront with Ellie. Although I do love when Ellie gets all Scottish and angry. It's completely justified too, because they're being so secretive and Aiden waited all day to pull her. That would piss me off. He tells her that Yasmin is scrambling his head because she's what he'd normally go for back home. These 2 were a waste of flights. Although Yasmin is also considering Opie as an option. First, we see him have a chat with Angelista, and he does make it clear that she's the priority over Yasmin, but he's trying not to rush things because he went official with his ex within 6 weeks of dating. Okay, I have to ask, is that really that fast to become exclusive? It doesn't seem like it to me, but what do I know, I'm 34. Anyway, he then pulls Yasmin for a chat and says that he feels giddy when he's with her, and all I can say is, at least he didn't say that she makes him feel like a little kid. Fuck, I hate that shit. She says that she was replaying their conversation in her head while she was in bed last night. Really? I only ever want to hear that juice conversation again in my nightmares. In her confessional, she tells us that she feels more flirty with Aiden but is more herself around Opie. I guess we'll see. Next we see Lorenzo make Jasmine some avocado toast for a little breakfast date, and I'm starting to fear that this girl is a lost cause. Her main concern right now with their relationship is that he sucked Yasmin's toe instead of hers, which bothers her because that is her thing, and in penance, he will now have to suck on all of her toes. Wow, I hear a glass ceiling breaking. It's 2026, and finally on Love Island, women are getting in on the foot fetish action. How nice. Also, I have to say that I have never seen the Ekin-Su Terrace busier than in this episode. George and Robin are having a little chat up there, and he says how much he loves her style. She honestly always looks like she's in a Little Red Riding Hood cosplay, and I'm not mad at it. Her bikini has a picnic blanket pattern. It's cute. Oh man, I googled George's age to double check again, and I'm genuinely concerned that I might need an MRI, because why do I keep getting so confused over this? Anyway, forget everything I said before. He's actually 28 and, that makes a lot more sense. Moving on, Robin and Sam also shut things down and agree that it's just friends vibes between them. Oh, it really killed me when they were talking about how quickly George and Yaz have fit in with everyone. They arrived like 12 hours later than the rest of you. How quickly did those bonds form? It wasn't exactly a tight-knit group already. Now, evil Jamie Lang, aka George, has never met a 21-year-old who hasn't taken his fancy. So he also has a chat with Mika and he tells her that she's the first girl he's ever spoken to who's worn a bandana because that's too exotic. What a fucking weird thing to say to someone. This guy is dark-sided and he's definitely sticking with his sister wife Robin. Seeing this chat between Mika and George has made Samraj jealous because he does really seem to like her and thinks things are too good to be true between them. Yeah, they bore me and I'm more interested in the potential between him and Jasmine. Although when we do see them chat, their flirting is also very juvenile and maybe I just give them too much leeway because they're so attractive. Samraj calls Jasmine a bad girl and says that she gives him a Bratz doll look. Okay. Oh, this reminds me that when I was looking at new album releases the other day, I saw that the Bratz Dolls have released a new EP. And I actually really liked one of the songs, but I'm now concerned that it was AI, so I turned it off. Okay, there's one last thing to get to before the dumping. So back on the terrace, we have another chat between George and Robin. He asks her if she's bothered by him talking to Mika, and he basically calls Mika a sweet simpleton. I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, but he says she's a nice girl and what you see is what you get, but he thinks there's more to Robin. Then proceeds to attack her face. This man is an aggressive kisser. I will say that in classic Love Island fashion, the dumping took place in the last 5 minutes. Of course it did. And so this episode definitely dragged in places. There were so many conversations about love languages. Are the producers giving them chat prompts, or do they all just have brain rot from watching the same TikToks over and over again? Okay, dumping time, and Yasmin and George meet up for a quick debrief, with their game plan being to eliminate their threats. She's torn between dumping Ellie or Jasmine, and he's stuck between Samraj and Sam. And Yasmin just can't handle this pressure. I do think that having this be kept a secret did make it tougher for the bombshells. So she breaks down and starts pissing tears, and honestly, George couldn't be happier to send someone home. This cycle remains unaffected. When it comes to decision time, they choose to get rid of Ellie and Samraj. Man, I was furious. I screamed and was shocked by this decision because getting rid of Sam seemed like a no-brainer. I have never once in all my years watching the show reached out to Ofcom, but I was considering it for a second. You just cannot bin the hottest man there, and all that's left for me to look at is George. George? Something I did love is how fuming they both were to be dumped. I need more of this and less of people taking the high road. Because it is fucking weird how Yasmin got all buddy-buddy with Ellie when she knew she was getting rid of her. All I'll say is thank you, baby Jesus, for that ending, because it is not the end of the road for Ellie and Samraj, and a second chance is coming. Now this got me thinking, and maybe this would be too hard logistically, but as Love Island USA is airing at the same time, I wonder if they'd ever do an Islander switch, with the US getting these two and the UK getting the US rejects. That would be cool, but knowing this show, we'll probably start Thursday's episode with them going on dates in the driveway. So that wraps up part 1 of week 1 of Love Island UK. I'll be back and releasing a new episode on Monday covering part 2, and perhaps I'll also include some quick thoughts on Love Island USA so far. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you liked what you heard here, please subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube, and consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps new people find it. You can also find me on Instagram at PopMonsterPod, and please DM me if you have any ideas for things you'd like me to cover in future episodes. Again, thank you guys so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.